Last class we saw custom tags, and we saw custom tags. We also saw one scope there. One more implicit object. Which one was that? Page context. Okay, we saw page context, and you wrote the notes for page context also. So one of your interview question, most important interview question would be difference between page and page context. Okay, so we saw what a page is, as well as we saw what a page context is. Both are implicit objects in JSP. Page is also an implicit object, page context is also an implicit object in a JSP. But page context is of type what? Which type? It is of type page context. But page is of type object. That's the basic difference. Okay, but page is a scope here. Page is a scope. And again, if you see the difference, page is a scope. You can set the values in the page scope, and the values set in page scope are not available to another JSP. But page context is not scope here. What is it? It's a gateway for other implicit objects. Okay, it's a gateway for other implicit objects. So I've written these two things, this one already. Just add this one more question and write it off. What is page? Page is an implicit object in JSP. The JSP implicit object is an instance of what? Java.lang.object, okay, class, and it represents the current JSP page. Okay, it is one of the scopes which is available for developer in a JSP. If you want actually the source code, it will be something like this: object page is equal to this. It's something like this. Page is a variable of type object in the source code, if you see, and it is referring to which object? Current object. Current object is nothing but what? JSP. So what the code will be generated. Clear? So object page is equal to this. So that's what we say. It's an object of type. It's an object of type object, and it is one of the scopes which is available for developers in a JSP. Just this point and this point. If you tell the difference, more than sufficient. Okay. So that's all about these things now. So we'll move to the next topic in JSPs now. Yeah. We know there are 5 elements in a JSP which you can use. What are the 5 elements you can use? Scripting elements, directives, standard actions, and EL now. Next, we'll be going with EL. Okay. And one more is pending, JSTL. With that, we'll be completing JSP. So fine. We'll go to EL today. So let's see what is EL. So what is EL? EL is a presentation language. EL is a presentation language. Okay, EL was introduced in JSP 2 version. It was not there in earlier versions of JSP. The JSP 2 container, the JSP 2 specification was released. Okay, when the JSP 2 specification was released, that time they introduced this in the specification. Now all the server vendors are implementing JSP2 specification. Your Tomcat what we are using now is also implementing what? JSP2 specification. So your EL will work in Tomcat now, because it's implementing what? It's Tomcat 7 version what we are using. So it will be implementing this version, and you can execute EL in this. But earlier versions of containers, JSP containers, let it be any server, that is secondary. But earlier versions of JSP container were not implementing EL. So EL does not work in old containers. That's what I'm trying to say. EL does not work in old containers. It works in containers above JSP2 version. Okay. Now it's a shortcut form of invoking Java code. Fine. EL expressions make JSP easy to read and easy to maintain. That's all. The main intention of using EL is what? Avoiding. Keep that basic in mind. The main intention of using EL is avoiding Java coding in the JSPs. And syntax would be something like this. Okay, now, EL expressions are always within curly braces and prefixed with $sign. This is how the EL looks. So in the JSP, if you see anything within this, what do you say? Scriptlet. If you see something like this, you'll tell what? Expression. If you see something like this, you'll tell declaration. If you see something like this at the rate of page, you'll tell directive. Same at the rate of taglib, you'll tell directive. So you know now. Whatever you see in a JSP, you know how to identify. So in your JSP, you'll start seeing something like this now. $, curly braces will open. Okay. And you'll write something here. We'll see what is that something now. So this is called as a EL now. This is the syntax. $, flower braces, You'll write something there and then you'll close the braces. So anything you see like this in the JSP is called as EL, expression language. Done? Sometimes you'll also see like this, dollar. See, look at the syntaxes carefully. Dollar something dot. There's a dot here actually. If it is not visible, that's why I'm writing something dot something. You'll be accessing something. So it is something dot something also you'll see. So dollar of something, or sometimes you'll write like this also in square bracket. Carefully notice something. So any of these three things you see in your JSP, it is called as what now? EL. Syntax comfortable now? So we are going to see what is that something only. You don't have to worry. But these things you have to identify in a JSP now very clearly. When you start seeing a JSP, you should identify this. And remember, this is how you write Java codes, and HTML code will always be written in same old tags. So HTML. So these are all used for writing Java, and that is used for writing HTML. So you should know the difference. Clear? So in your file, what has been used, what has not been used, you should be comfortable. So first I'll be going, I had written there three something. One something, then something dot something, the other one something square bracket of something. I'll go with the first one. Which one will be seeing now? Dollar of something. So what is that you can use here? Means what is that something which you can use here? That's what we are going to study now. Okay. That something can be any of these three things. That something what you can use there is, one is you can use a literal, two is you can use operators, and third one is you can use variables. These are the three things which you can use there as something. Okay? So we'll start saying one by one now. Yeah, see this is the syntax something or something dot something, something square bracket of something. So fine, see following things can be used inside the curly braces, literals, operators and variables. So first I'll be going with this syntax, then I'll explain you this syntax, then I'll be explaining you this syntax. So concentrate on which syntax now? The first one, something. Okay, now that something, first I'll be going with what now? Literals. So the first thing what you can use in something is literals. See, following are the different literals which can be used inside the EL. These many literals you can use them. You can use a boolean literal, integer literal, floating point literal, or strings also, string literals also. Okay, so let's complete this, what it is. See, supposing you have a JSP now. This is your JSP. This is login dot or hello.jsp or one.jsp, anything you take. Hello.jsp will take. So if this is your hello.jsp, see this. Dollar. Okay, HTML code and all will come now. That is okay. HTML body, all that is okay now. Okay. Here, see now. Hello, welcome. This is HTML code, text now, simple text. But look this now. Dollar of 100 I can write. Okay, I can write dollar of 100. But what is that? Literal. Okay, this is a literal. Which literal? Integer literal. Okay, so when you make the request and when it displays it to you here, can you guess what it will display? Hello, welcome will display as it is. That is okay. But 100 will be displayed like this. Without what? The dollar, flower brace and all it will be displaying. It will be evaluated. Okay. So it will be evaluated and it will be displaying. Similarly, I can display what? 23.69. So this will also display me it as what? 23.69 like this. Similarly, if I want, I can display a Boolean value. As well as I can display on string also. Hi. Done. So what will be the output here? True. Hi. So this is how it will be displaying to. Clear this? Now understand the difference here. If you want the same output, I can write it as only 100 also. But it is displaying as what? HTML text. This is not a literal now. This is what? These are all EL now. These are EL. These are what? HTML text. Same if I want, I can display 23.69 as text also. Same if I want true also, I can display as HTML text also. But if I want this also, I can display. Okay, so you might be thinking, no, you might have a question. Just to display 100, why should I use EL? Just to display 23.69, why should I use EL? Okay, I can directly display it as what? Simple text. You type it in HTML normally, it will display it for you. Okay, so that why we use all this, slowly you'll understand. But first, basically understand the concept here. We are trying to learn EL. That is our intention. So how you get the output, you're there using EL, or whether you get the output as using HTML, that is different now. We are trying to learn how to use EL. We are starting with the basics. So first get comfortable with the syntax. Slowly you'll understand what is the advantage of all this. So this is the two way. You can get the output, but we are trying to get that output using EL. So here it is evaluated and executed. The difference would be, here it would be evaluated and executed, but here it will be directly displaying the text. It will be treated as text, HTML text. Here it is evaluated, here it will be treated as text. Fine, all this is fine. Now see, I have written the JSP now, hello.jsp using EL, yes or no? Yes, by chance, I want this JSP to deploy it in an old container. Example, old container means what? The container which do not have the implementation of EL, earlier to JSP2. So now what will happen? If you deploy this, you will get error. The JSP code only will not execute, because that old container does not understand the syntax. So that is the reason they have given you what you know. So there you can disable. Which one? If you are interested, there you can disable your EL. So how do you disable it? Just only one thing you have to add on the top. This is hello.jsp. Can you guess which one I will use? I had left on attribute, or which one? Directive, percentage at the rate of page directive. In that I had left on attribute is EL, ignored. The default value of this is false. The default value of is EL ignored is false. Means EL is the EL ignored? False. Means it is not ignored. So you have to make it true. So if you change it now what will happen? EL will not be considered, and this will be executed as what? Yes, plain text. You know what will be the display now? If you say 100 now, if you disable the EL, it will be displaying like this. Understood? Dollar of, same, it will be treated as text now. If you enable it, what it will display? 123.69. If you disable it, it will display like this. So that is what you understand. So now you have started understanding. It is getting evaluated. If you want, you can evaluate it, or you can ignore it also. How do you ignore it? By using this tag, which one? Page directive tag, and is EL ignored attribute. Understood? So this is EL ignored attribute has been added in the page directive for backward compatibility of the containers. Backward compatibility. Supposingly in your old JSP containers, if you want to run this code, you can disable it. Otherwise you'll get error. Understood? Getting error is better, or getting display like this is better? Some display is better, no? Like what? This is okay, dollar of something it will display, but imagine getting an error. So that's the reason they have given this attribute only for backward compatibility. If you want to enable the EL, and if you want to disable the EL. By default, EL is enabled. By default, in the latest containers, EL is enabled. You don't have to write anything. It is enabled, and it will evaluate and print it. So I'll go with the simple output first. I'll code and show you. After coding, then we'll proceed with the next example. So this is an example for which one now? Literals. Then I'll go with operators. Clear? So how do you code now? Let's see. If you add this, get the point. If you add this and write true value, you understanding now? Easily ignored is equal to what you'll write? True, that's all. Just understand. True. If you add this, it will display like this. If you remove that or change it to false, the default value, it will be evaluated and executed. I'll show you now. It will be evaluated and executed. So what I'll do, I'll create a new workspace because we have got plenty of examples for EL. So instead of continuing in the old workspace of JSP examples, we'll go with the new workspace. So in D drive, I'll go to Ravi Kumar folder. Here only I'll create a new workspace, new folder. Clear? JSP EL examples. You can give any folder name, but I'll give it as JSP EL example. So this will become our workspace. So open Eclipse there. Shift to Java, close all unwanted windows, and here first write your new what? Project. So this is your workspace, start coding your projects here. New, which one now? Same thing, project. Which project? Scroll down, web, dynamic web project, next 01. Literals and operators. Two things I'll show in the same example, literals and operators. Done? Literals and operators. Next. You know how to create a new project, now do it. Finish. Here click now. Yes, your project is ready. Clear? So now in web content, what will I do? Okay, first see in the web.xml some unwanted tags will be there. Go to source, you can delete all this, all the unwanted things you can delete, and do Ctrl Shift F. It will format it. Select all and say Ctrl Shift F. So for visibility purpose, I'll just increase the font size. Window preferences. Okay, yeah, we have got better fonts now. Fine, so everything is ready. So now we have created the new web project. So now we have to start writing our JSP. So see how I write on the web content now. JSP should be kept where? In the public directory. So if you want to keep anything in public directory, that folder you should keep it in web content. So I'll click on web content, right click, new folder, JSP, web content. Clear? So your JSP folder is there now. Directly what you write now? New example, sorry, new file. Which file? 1.jsp. Directly I'll write 1. You can give any name, that's up to you. 1.jsp, finish. So JSP you can start coding now. So I'll start coding my JSP now. HTML, then next body, Yeah, hello world. So your JSP is ready. First check whether this is working or not. Don't directly jump into output. First check whether these basic things are working. So for this to work, you have to deploy now. Yes or no? So for deploying, what you have to do? You can integrate server with Eclipse. So how do you integrate? I have to execute this. I'm just trying to execute this. Okay. Window, show view, other, servers. Okay. Click. So what you do? Go to Apache 7. Next. Browse computer, C drive, Apache Tomcat. Okay. Next, I think that's it now. Yeah, finish. Then next what you have to do? Right click, properties, switch location, apply. Okay. And again right click, open. Scroll down, select the second radio button. Select it, save, Control S you do. Yeah, if you do this many things, Tomcat is integrated with Eclipse. So now you can execute your code now. So right click, you can say run as, run on server, next, finish. So yeah, type now what? JSP/1.jsp, and perfectly it is executing. So now we'll start continuing to code here. Done. So to have better visibility, I'll make this, put it in header fonts only for visibility purpose. And now see hello world is getting executed. Done? Yeah. So now we'll start coding. Which one? EL. See this. So first I'll get you the output without EL. See this. 100. Okay, 1 second. So I've written 100. Just refresh. Automatically it will display it. Fine. So if you want to print 100, it will print as it is. Just type the 100, it will print. But it is treated as text now. There is no evaluation at all happening. Clear? It is treated as simple plain text. Then if I want 23.69, anything like this, fine. Just refresh. It will display. Fine. Put BR if you want. So that is okay. But now see this. I start using EL. I start using what? EL now. So I'll use $, correct? Open curly braces or flower braces. Curly brace or flower brace. So now you have to see it's showing error. Syntax error. You have to write this something. So the same thing I'll write 100. Done. But I'm getting error. Notice here. Error started. Just see this. Earlier 1.jsp was not having error, but now it's having error. So now you have to resolve this. If you go there and check, see here it will report the errors. It is telling in the problems tab, here you can see in the Eclipse, Java x.servlet cannot resolve to a type or something like this. It will give an error. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to add jar file. Now you have to add jar file because you have started using EL now. So you have to start adding jar file. So where are your jar files now? You know. It is there in Tomcat. Okay, it is here. See this. C drive, Tomcat lib. So we have to add 2 jars this time. JSP API as well as Servlet API. 2 jars you have to add. Okay, these 2 jars what we have done? We have copied and kept it where? C drive, my jars. Why? Because you will need it for every project. So instead of copying every time, what you do? Copy it from here only. Servlet and JSP, copy these 2 jars now. This will be needed. So when you need it, you add it now like this. So see in the lib I'll add it, I copied it, I'll paste it now. So now the error will be resolved. See the error goes away. Clear? So step by step you understand why you add the jars. We need that support now, we need that library now. We are using that. See earlier you wrote on web project, you created on web project. But your web project is not having anything inside it. So when it needs something, we go on adding. What I need, I want to use EL in my project now. So if you want to use EL in the project, add that jar file. What you want to use, you add it now. Your project right now is empty. So in the libraries you go on adding like this. So that's the concept. So fine, next, that is done. Next, you can write more EL now. $off. What will write? 23.69. Fine. If you want something, $of what? I wrote hi. This is string literal now. Anything you want, you write. Okay. Then if you want a Boolean value, TRUE, done. All are acceptable. Now see this. If you make the request, it will display everything. Okay. But if you want to put BR there, for clarity purpose, you put BR. This will print in the next line. Done. So now see, refresh. It will display whatever output you want. Clear? Yeah. Now I'll disable the EL. How do you disable it? See this. Top you go. Percentage @ page. Which one? Is EL ignored? Default value is false. Default is false. So it's executing. Just change it to true. That's it. Because by default EL is enabled. Okay. But don't get confused with this attribute. It's something like a question. Is EL ignored? False means it is not ignored. Is EL ignored? True. Now it will be ignored. Understood? So now it will be ignored. Check this now. What will be the display? Text is displayed as text only. Notice 123.69 are text. But what you wrote in EL is displayed as what now? Text. So that is the difference. So these things, which one? This 123.69 is treated as text earlier, but these were treated as values, literal values. But now what's happening? Both are treated as text because you are ignoring the EL, expression language. Are you clear this? So this is the basics. Okay. So default value is false. So you don't have to use that attribute. If you want to disable it, then you use it. You remember that attribute now? Okay. I had shown you, I was teaching what? Page directive. Remember this. See, I'll go to directives. See, this page directive is covering now directives. In that first one, page directive, easily ignored. Default value is what? False. Possible value or what? True and false. That's the thing now. Clear? Yeah. So we are going with literals now. So I used all these literals. Fine. Are you clear? So if you want, you can enable this or you can delete it only, because we want the EL to be enabled. By default it is enabled. So don't write it only. Better don't write it. You write it only when you want to disable it. If you want to disable the EL, then you write it. Done. So this is okay now. So next we'll go with one more JSP now. 2.JSP. In 2.JSP we'll use operators. See this. Arithmetic operators I can use. What are the different operators now? See, following things can be used in the curly braces. One is I can use literal, I showed you. Second thing what you can use is what? Operators. Yeah. So which are the operators? How many operators are there? Many operators are there. So one of the operators which you can use is arithmetic. So what are the different arithmetic operators? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, something like this. So these are the symbols they are provided which you can use in EL. EL itself is a different language. Okay, in this language you can use plus for doing addition. So they are going with the same syntax. They did not modify. For addition they did not give one special symbol. So they are going with the same syntax. So these are the symbols. But for modulus you can use percentage or MOD. Why they are given 2 for this? I will explain to you. Either you can use percentage or MOD. And that is the example. 5 plus 2, 7 minus 3, 4 into 2, 8 by 2. Whatever you want you can write like that. These are arithmetic operators. Next, relational operators or logical operators also you can use. Greater than, I can use this symbol, or yes, here you have got an option, GT you can say. See, in Java language if you want to write greater than, you should use only this symbol. But in EL is different now. It's a totally different language. In EL you can use greater than or GT. Lesser than like this symbol or LT. They are giving you two things. Now why they are given 2 to support, we'll understand. Okay, so whenever you want to write 5 greater than 2, you can write it either like this or you can write it as what? 5 GT 2 also you can write. But that will be again writing in what? EL. Now you understand the advantage of EL. If you write it 5 greater than 2 without EL, what will happen? It will print it as text only now. But now what will happen? It is getting evaluated. So here you are seeing the example of what? Operators with literals. So this time it will be evaluated. If EL support is not there, what you should do? If you write it like that, 5 greater than 2, only this much if you write in HTML, in a JSP, it will display it as it is. So that is where EL becomes very helpful for the developer. So let's see this output first, then we'll discuss more things. So in the same example, I'll continue. I'll write a right click, new, file I'll write 2.jsp. Any name you want to give, I'll just give it as 2.jsp. Rest all things common now. HTML. Here I'll write h1 I will start saying now. See, first I'll write 5 plus 2. You know how it will be displayed now? Same it will display. Okay. See this. 2.jsp run on server. Next. I want that to be evaluated now. So this time EL becomes very helpful for you. So if you want to do simple additions and all, better go for what? EL. Dollar of what you will do now? Put. That's it. Now see the difference. It is evaluated this time. So this is how it works now. So this is the rich support what you got in the JSPs now for avoiding Java coding. Understood? And see, right now I'm hard coding the values. Those values will come dynamically to you later. Don't worry. Okay. See now next what you want to do? Dollar of okay 7 greater than 2. Anything like that you write. That's your wish. Yeah. So what will be it? What will be the result? True. That's it. Like that you can go on using any operators. I showed you an arithmetic. I showed you one relational operator. Like that any operator you want to use, it will work. 5 minus 2, modulus, anything you try, it will work. Yeah. Dollar of what you want now? Anything, any operator you want? 6 divided by 2. Fine, it will be what now? Dollar at, right? Getting it out right? Yeah. So like this you can go on coding. So this is your 1.jsp. This is your 1.jsp code, and this is your 2.jsp, but if not source code. So like that you can go on writing. Yeah. So this is one simple thing what you saw about EL. Go on writing whatever you want and do it like this. So operators. So next, 2 things we covered. The most important now, variables. The most important we'll start saying now, variables. So that something what you saw now can either be a literal, or it can be a operator, or it can be variable now. So let's start saying variable now. So if it is a variable, okay, so that variable can be an EL implicit object. So today we are going to see some more objects. Okay, today we are going to see some more objects, implicit objects available in the JSP. They are implicitly available. Okay, or it can be an attribute. You know what are attributes now? We say now request.set attribute, session.set attribute. So that variable can be only any of these 2 things. Either it can be a EL implicit object, or it can be a attribute. Okay. Now, to make you understand this variable, I'll give you a requirement. Okay, or I'll explain one scenario. Then you'll start understanding. So I'm giving you introduction to what are EL implicit objects. Clear? Yeah. See, for explaining you the variables, I'm just trying to give a requirement to you, or one scenario we'll take here. and based on that scenario you'll start understanding what are those variables you can use in that EL, expression language. So scenario is this. Carefully understand the scenario first. So first page you'll make a request. When you make a request, one HTML file will be displayed now. Okay, assume that this is login.html file. Any HTML file, okay, it is there. So that login.html file. So here you will ask the user to enter first name, and you will ask the user to enter, you will tell him enter first name. Then you will ask him to enter last name. Then you will ask him to enter two phones. Look at the scenario now, phone 1 and phone 2. Two phones you will ask him to enter. So these scenarios you get, okay, in when you are developing applications. This is okay now. See, when you are writing this in login.html, you know what is the source code. You know how to write this. Please enter your details. You'll give all this. But for these input fields, you'll be telling what. That more important, interesting thing is the input field. Input type is equal to text. Name is equal to NAME. Correct? Huh? Okay. Or name is equal to fname. You will tell fname. That's the name of the box. You are given where there. So that is what is getting displayed in the client place. Then you'll have LName. For this now there are two fonts. Generally what happens when there are two similar things you are getting now, that input text what you'll name you now, you'll not give it different. You'll give both of them with the same name. PH. Same name you'll give. Input type is equal to text, name is equal to PH. For this one also, for font also I'll write input type is equal to text, name is equal to PH only. So why we give both same names, you'll understand in a moment. Okay, but many times you'll give same names if they are containing the same type of value. For first name, last name you'll give input type is equal to text, different name. Last name also you'll give different name, F name, L name you'll give. But when they are similar, no, you'll start writing like that. If there are many email, so you'll go on writing what? EM. For all you'll give the same name. So now what is the advantage? See, my requirement is very simple. This is one JSP now. Display.jsp or something you can take. This JSP should do nothing. Okay, no logic here, no business logic, nothing. Just whatever values the user has given, simply it should display back to him. That's all. What value the user is giving now? What is the value he is giving? He'll enter now. Example AAA. Last name is BBB. Phone number is 111. And this phone number is 222. He'll enter these many values and submit. Same thing it should display back. Your details are first name, it should display now AAA, whatever he has entered, last name BBB, phone 1 111, phone 2 222. That's all it should do, nothing else. Okay, so you know how to write the code now. So if you write this code now, so what will be the source code of, say, what you have to do? What is the requirement first? Collect input values, simple, display back to user. Display back to user. What all the input values displayed back to the, that's all requirement, very simple again. So still the source code now, how you write? So this will be the source code for your hello.jsp. I'll write it here now, source code where? Here I'll write, see this. hello.jsp. Sorry, display.jsp. Okay, so HTML it will start, body, okay, that is okay now. Yeah, so I see this, you start writing scriptlets. You have no other option, only thing you have to do is what? Start writing scriptlets. Okay, string A is equal to request dot get parameter of f name. See, this is how you collect the values. String p is equal to request dot get parameter of L name. Those two will get. The interesting thing is what? Phone. All you get, see this. String yes is equal to, or string something, I'll take phone. Any name you want to give. It's an array. Understood? And this time look at the method. Which method I'm calling? Request dot get parameter values. There's one more method. This is one more extra method which is there in HTTP select request interface. One more method you are seeing. It is there in HTTP select request interface. Of what I'll say? PH. See, now collecting values, all the values is very simple. Understood? If you give different name, what would have happened? Like that I have to go on collecting. What? F name, L name, one by one I have to collect. Understood? Supposing you gave this as phone 1, phone 2, some different name, you have to go on collecting like request.get parameter of phone 1, request.get parameter of phone 2. But now, nothing. Just say request.get parameter values, a new method. Okay, so this method will be used when you are having multiple values with a single name. Understood? Multiple values with a single parameter name will be there. One parameter name, but multiple values will be coming like this. So you can use this method. Now what is the advantage? Tomorrow you write 5 more phones. Still only one line. But different name you got. That many statements you have to write again. See, tomorrow I had 3 more phones. Again you have to write 3 more lines here. Request.get parameter of phone 3. Request.get parameter of phone 4. Request.get parameter of phone 5. Like that you have to write. So that's why you take this approach. So one parameter name but multiple values go like this. Fine. That is okay. You got the values now. That is not a problem. Somehow you'll get it. But requirement is what? After collecting, what you should do? Display back to user. That is very interesting now. So all you do? Yes, you'll write. Your details are first name. How will you write? Percentage equal to A. Very simple. What is there? Last name. Percentage equal to B. And phone 1. Yes, how will you display? Percentage equal to, here it is the index this time. Phone of 0. Print from the 0th index. So see, when the values have come now, the values have been stored into the request object. Please understand that now. As what? F name. This is the request object which has got created. You got L name. So your first name is having what value? A. Last name is having what value? B. This is the request object. You are having one phone now. In the 0th index, what value is there? 111. In the first index, what value is there? 222. One array has implicitly got created. You don't have to worry only. An array of phone, PH, has been implicitly created. Just I'll rewrite it again. In the first index, what you'll have? 222. Like this, values will be there. So those values you got now. You got it and stored it where? Here. And then you are printing it now. So as this first index, phone 2 is what? So like this, values will by default come into your application. You just have to use it. See what luxury they are giving to you. So technology is brilliant. Everything is fine. We can get the values and display it. But our only problem is we should not write Java coding in JSP. That is only the problem. Why? Because see, we developers will blindly write it. Think about the designer. Tomorrow if the designer comes to design your page now, he will not understand what is this code only. That is the only problem what we are facing. So that is the reason what you have to do. That means what was introduced? EL was introduced. So with the help of EL, this problem can be solved. Clear? And no coding will be there in JSP. Clear? Understood the scenario concept? Okay. So now we'll see how this problem can be solved with EL. The scenario is what? Clearly understand the scenario and requirement. Collect input values, display it back without Java coding. Yeah, you can, but you have done it with Java coding, but I want it without Java coding. One option is there for you. If you want without Java coding, one option is there. What is that? Collect the values, store it in TO. You can use standard actions. Till now I covered that option you can utilize now. What is that? Collect the values, store it in TO, use bean, set property and display the values using get property. 100% will solve your problem. It will solve your problem. Yes or no? But there's an extra overhead there. What you have tried? One TO you have tried and all that. But I am not interested in storing values in TO GO this time. I just want to collect the values, display it back. If I want to store it in TO and display, standard action is there, it will support me. Understood? So look at all the possible options now. If at all you want to, just scenario is what? Collect the input values, display it back to user. One option is you can write the code like this. Okay, if you don't want to write Java code, second option is there for you. What is that? Use standard actions. Set property, get property, you do it and you can get the display. That is second option. But the problem in second option is we have tried one TO giver and all that. So I don't want all that to do. So now the third option is there, which is an easy solution, brilliant solution. There is nothing but EL. So I got multiple options. You choose which one you want. And with experience you will decide which one to use when. So I am just showing you the concepts. You can use this, you can use this, you can use this. When you go on coding projects, experience will help you to decide which one to use when. But first learn it, then we'll talk about which one to use when. But this is ruled out. We should not use Java coding in JSP. One more option is standard action is there, EL is there. First we'll complete it, then we'll decide which one to use when. So shall I clear this now? Yes. So now if you want to understand EL, I'll give you a very interesting diagram now. Very interesting diagram. This diagram you will not find anywhere in internet, any book, nowhere you will find. Understood? This diagram is purely a Ravi sir diagram. Okay, so EL, the way I am teaching you, nobody will teach. Okay, you can refer to any docs, anywhere you will not find. So this is the most powerful class I am taking. So just follow it properly. This is the basics. If you understand this diagram, everything will be resolved here. Clear? So this diagram is very important. I am telling you the importance of this diagram because you will be thinking what? You will find this diagram anywhere. Everybody will teach you like this only. No. Okay. So that is why I am stressing and telling you the importance of this diagram. Okay. So just follow this now. So yes, you know the diagram now. Sorry, this is the, what is that now? This is the page. What is your page now? It will contain first name, same diagram. I'll take first name, last name, phone 1, phone 2, and the user is going to submit. And here you'll have first name, last name, phone 1, phone 2. So for this the text name you are given it as F name, for this you are given it as L name, for this you are given phone, and for this also you are given phone. So remember, this thing you remember, first thing. Whenever the user clicks the submit button in the browser generates something called as HTTP request body. That's the first thing you have to understand. And that HTTP request body will be containing the complete information on the client side. It's not only these input values, much more information it will contain. IP address, the operating system of the client, the browser of the client, everything. So when you press the submit button, the browser is very intelligent. All this information it will be collecting from where? The client place. Cookie information, all that. Okay. So all this information and even these input values, all this information it will collect it. The browser is a very sophisticated software. To use, you will not be, when you are using it, you will hardly know what is happening. But the browser is such a sophisticated software, it will collect all this information, puts it inside the HTTP request body. So never forget this flow. This flow is very important. So this is your HTTP request body now. See this. And this HTTP request body there are many values which are coming. Okay. Many values, but all the values can be broadly classified into three categories. One, I can say header info. Now what do you mean by header info? The IP address of the client, the browser of the client, the operating system of the client, all this. Okay, like example I am writing. First one is this, client IP address, then operating system of the client, then OS I have written, operating system, then it can be the browser name. So all this information will be there. Example for header info, multiple values. Okay, but I have classified all this as simply one, which are header info. The next info what you can get is parameter values, or we say request values. Yeah, parameter values. So what are the parameter values? Can you guess? How many ever fields you are having, those many will be having parameter values. Like example will be f name here, then one more will be l name, and one more will be phone. Like this parameter values will be there. And the third thing what you will be finding there in the request, each and HTTP request body will be what? Can you guess? Cookies. If there are any cookies, it will be coming now. So many values coming. Okay, but they are broadly classified into three categories: header values, okay, header info or header values, parameter values, or cookies. I'll write it as header values only. So, and they are sent as text, simple text, and this text can move via network. This HTTP request body will be broken into small packets now. Do not forget that. Okay, TCP/IP will ensure it is reaching the correct destination, that is the server now. So now yes, fine, it will come to the server. This is your server now. What is happening inside the server? That is very interesting for us now. From the server, this is the server now. First the request will be accepted by the server, and the request will again be forwarded to what? Container. It will be given to which container now? JSP container. So it will come now. So this is your container now, and this will be your JSP now. Whatever JSP name you are given, that is secondary now. So assuming that it is display.jsp I have named in the example. Yes. So now the JSP will get converted to .java file. Agreed. Life cycle of JSP will start now. First time if the request comes, life cycle will start. And how many implicit objects will be there in the JSP now? JSP has how many implicit objects? Totally 8. But there is one more object. Okay, that is exception 9. And that see, normally a JSP has 8 implicit objects. Very important interview question. But if you say percentage at the rate of page is error page is equal to true, then that page will have 9 implicit objects. So in the interview this is very important. How many implicit objects a JSP has? 8. Okay, 9th one will be dependent. If his error page is true, then it will be present in that JSP. But normally in all JSPs you'll have 8. Normally in all JSPs you'll have 8. Only if you say is error page is equal to 2, there you'll have 9 implicit objects. Yes. Let's draw the 8 implicit objects. Which are there? So you know them. Okay. I need more place. Diagram is correct. Just 1 second. Yeah, see this. You'll have one request object, response. There are 8 now. I'll draw the 8 objects. See this. So in JSP, these many objects are getting created. What are they? Request. This is request. This is response. This is config. This is application. This is out. This is session. This will be page, and this will be page context. So these 8 are which objects? JSP implicit objects. And what values have come now? Whatever values have come, all these values will be retrieved by the container. See, request object has got created. Okay. So what will the container do now? Collect all these incoming values. Okay. And put it into the request object, and it will be stored as string now. So that's why you say now request.get. Anything you can get, all this information you can get. Okay, I'll tell you how they get the values. So you'll be having, I'll write it now, header values will be there. 2 will be what? Parameter values. Request parameter values you say. 3 will be cookies. Means, you know what values now? What are the header? IP address you can get, same thing, all information. Parameter values will be what? F name, L name, phone, all you can get, as well as cookies. All information is stored there. And they have given you one method which we use, request.get cookies if you want, request.get parameter, if you want any header information, get request.get servlet path, get servlet get URI. So many methods are there. Yes or no? So it's a very simple thing now. So if you see, the HTTP servlet request is a very simple class. It is saying what you know. See, I'll just give you the idea of what is HTTP servlet request. Means there will be a class which will be implementing it. Some name, class A implements HTTP servlet request. It is not a very complicated class, it's a very simple class. And it has some properties here like host, port, server port, string host, string server port. Like that, many instance variables will be there. And what it will have, you know, setter and getter for that. Same thing it is having. Okay, there will be many instance variables. So when the request comes, all these values will be collected and dumped into that request object. And the setter methods will be called. For storing, what will be who will call now setter methods? Container. Container will call the setter methods and stores the values into the request object. Developer will call getter methods if he wants the value. Like request.get parameter, request.get server port, request.get a host or something, some method is there, I'll show you. So get header of host you should pass as the argument, then you'll get that. So all that information you can get now. So the developer will be only calling getter method. The setter methods are called by the container. That's how the HTTP servlet request has been designed. All values will be stored there. So now in this JSP you'll go on writing the code. Whatever code you want you can write. That is secondary now, and it will execute and it will give back the response now. Response will be given now finally. This JSP as it will be given as what? One more HTTP response body will be generated, and this HTTP response body will come and display back to the user. This is the response part. This response part you know, but I'm telling you how the JSP is actually getting executed. This is okay. So till now you know that in your JSP there are 8 implicit objects, and this is how the things have been designed. Clear? Now in JSP there are 10 more implicit objects. 10 more. Understood? And those implicit objects are called as EL implicit objects. Are you clear with this now? I'm introducing 10 more extra now. So totally in the JSP you have how many objects, sir? 18. Sometimes 19. So in JSP you have actually 19 objects. But leave one exception you leave. I'll go on telling what? 18 only I'll tell. So in the JSP you have actually 18 implicit objects. But in the interview, never tell 18. Tell how many? 8 only. Because this 10 EL implicit objects, interviewer will never know. Because many people working in companies don't know what? EL. They don't know EL. So if you tell them there are 18 implicit objects, what they'll tell? They'll reject you in the interview. So you have to go on telling what? 8 only. So this is for your information. If the interviewer tells you about EL, that time you tell yes there are 10 EL implicit objects. Clear? You should know how to answer properly. So yes, these are this one now. See, I'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means 10. So these are EL implicit objects. And what are the names? They are implicitly available to you. Till now you have not worked. Understood? So remember, in JSP I got 18. I'll name them now. Okay, what are they? Yes. So the name of this object is page scope. Remember, it's a variable name. Page scope. P small, S caps. Then next, request scope. These are all implicitly available. Request scope. Same name you have to use. If you want to work with this object, you have to use what? Request scope only. Like how you want to work with request object, you'll say request, no? If you want to work with session object, what you do? Session. Same way here, if you want to work with this object, you have to say page scope. This one, request scope. Then next, session scope. There is no space They are variable names. Write it properly. Session scope, application scope, and this will be init param. I small p caps. Init param. P caps. Yeah? Fine. Some more objects. Param. Param values. Header. Header values. Cookie. So I'll repeat again, clearly understand. These are the EL implicit objects newly getting introduced. The name of the EL implicit objects are page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope, init param, param values, header values, cookie. Yeah? Cookie it is. Not cookie is a cookie. That's the name. Fine. Now what is the first difference? Okay, what is the first basic difference between a JSP object and a EL implicit object, EL object? Both are implicitly available, but JSP objects are different from, implicit objects are different from EL objects. Okay, so these are what now? I don't have space, but if you have, write it. These are all, this many are called as what? JSP objects, and these are all EL implicit objects. EL implicit objects. These are JSP implicit objects. I'm not having space, I'm repeating. JSP implicit objects, this 8, this 10, EL implicit objects. But sometimes page context also is called EL implicit objects. So page context is dual. It can be called as a JSP implicit object also, or it can be called as EL implicit objects also. So correctly if you see, how many EL implicit objects are there? 11. Because page context will play a dual role. Okay. Page context, it is also called as EL implicit object, plus it is called as JSP object also, implicit object. Yeah. So it plays a dual role. These 10 confirmed, no doubt. This one will be playing a dual role. It's something like common. Page context will be common to what? If this is JSP objects, JSP, this is EL. Page context is common to what? You getting it now? Both. It's common to both. So that's all. Clear? Fine. So this is the diagram. This diagram, if you understand now, understanding EL is very simple. Clear? So now see exactly what happens now. See, when the values come, the values are there in the request object. We know that. Okay, here it is getting stored. Apart from that, okay, I didn't tell you the difference, no? Yeah. So what is the first major difference between a JSP object and EL implicit object? Okay. So first difference is, see, these are all objects of type what? Request is an object of type what? HTTP select request. Response is an object of type HTTP select response. So they are an object of a particular type, like HTTP select request, HTTP select response, select config, select context, JSP writer, HTTP session, correct? They are of a particular type. But these objects are all of type map. You know what is map object now? Which one? Map. Java.util package. So these objects are of type map. Means, see the code I'll write. I'll remove this. Internally what they have written the code is, see, map page scope is equal to new hash map. Then again map request scope is equal to new hash map. So all these objects are of type map. You write that. Go on writing map. Which one? Anything you take. Param. So these are name of the variables. That's it. Whatever you are seeing now, page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope, init param, they are name of the variables. Okay. But it is an object of type what? Map. Clear? So you got the difference now. This is of type HTTP select request. This is of type HTTP select response. But this is of type map. This is also of type map. Like that. Clear? So again see, request, response, these are all variable names. Same way, these are also variable names. Page scope, request scope, session scope, these are all variable names. So this is a variable which is referring to map object now. The variable which is referring to map object, simple. Fine now. So you got the first basic difference. Okay, now more differences are there, we'll start seeing. So when the request comes now, we know that, see this is the flow, do not forget the flow. When the browser has made a request or when the client has made the request, all the values have been put into the HTTP request body, they are transmitted and it reaches the server hands over the request to the container extracts all the values from the HTTP request body, stores it inside the request object. These are the three type of values. Apart from storing the values there, okay, the values will be stored in these objects also. Implicitly, who is doing it? Container. So if you want the values, you can get it from these values, or you can get it from, if you want the values, you can get it from these objects also, or you can get it from request object which have been working. Okay, there also you can get. Yes. Now let us see now. See, your parameter values will be stored here in this map object. So it will be split now, scattered. It's only values, but values are getting scattered. I just need space, that's why I'm writing it like this. See here, in param what you have, F name, L name, one phone will be there. If you have entered, see, you can call request.get parameter of ph. If you use get parameter of ph, you'll get only one phone. Which phone you know? Only the first phone. Okay, I didn't tell you that. I'll cover that actually. Okay, anyway, so all the values will be stored here. Where they are getting stored? One here they are stored. Request object, leave that. Apart from that, they are getting stored in param also, plus what? Param values. So param and param values contain what? Parameter values which are coming in the request. But this param values will contain always array. Like array it will contain. Phone will be here. And in this 0th index, if you are having, see how the values are stored now? 111. Phone of 1 is equal to 222. Same way I got first name, last name, phone here also. But here also I got. Okay. Now the header information is stored here. Here also it's stored. Header values also it's stored. And cookie values are stored here. Like this it will get scattered. But whatever values are coming in the request is now getting stored in how many objects actually? 6 objects. Okay, 1 request object and 5 EL objects. Which are the 5 EL objects now getting used now? We are going to study now. Param values, header values, cookie, it's stored here. So once you know where the information is stored, it's all about retrieving the value or getting the value. That's it. You understand the concept. Now getting it is going to be very simple. So if you want to get the value from here, you will be writing Java code. Like expression and what is that? Yeah, request.get parameter and all that. You'll write it and you'll use the Java code. But if you want to get the value from here, you don't have to use any Java code. That's it. So if I want to display, all I'll be telling you know what? Param dot f name, param dot l name. That's all. It will start displaying now. But that time I'll be accessing values from which object now? Param object, EL object. That's it. So this is the concept. So it's your wish now. From where you will access the value and use, it's your wish. Values are stored actually in, what values are coming in request is getting stored in 5 objects, sorry 6. 5 EL and 1 request object. Clear? That you understand. Now what are these objects? Page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope. See, these are used to work with attributes. You know attributes now? I'm not covering attributes now. Later on I will work with attributes. Supposedly you will have attribute, session.set attribute. So that value will be stored. One copy, if I say session.set attribute of f name, one copy will be stored where? In the session object also. Another copy of that will be stored where? In session scope also. Supposedly I am doing it. Right now I am not doing. Our requirement is not there right now. When I have the requirement, you will understand. So if I put any value as an attribute, it will be stored like this. So I can get the value from either session object by saying session.get attribute, or I can get the value from session scope dot f name also. We'll start saying that. So that is what is that something dot something. Okay. So from which object you want the value and what value you want, dot f name, l name, like that. You start using now. So this is the whole idea. So are you clear? So if you understood the EL object, now it's all about what? Accessing the value. Yeah? So these are all objects of type map. Remember that first. Shall I clear the diagram? Yes. And for your information, this is for your information. Servlet has how many objects? Implicit. Sorry, totally it has 6 objects. Servlet has totally 6 objects. What are they? Request, response, config, context, session, out. Only 6 objects. Out of that, only 3 are implicit. Which are they? Config, request, response are implicit. Understood now? Servlet has 6 objects. 3 are implicit. Config, request, response. 3 are explicit. Which are they? Session. Means you have to write the code. Request dot get session and get the reference explicitly. And context also have to get the reference explicitly. Out also have to get the reference explicitly. So 3 are implicit in Servlet, 3 are explicit in Servlet. And Servlet has only 6 objects. But JSP has 18 objects. That is the difference. Understood? And why is so much of rich support has been given in a JSP? Only for presentation. You'll understand it slowly. Okay. But in interview you have to tell how much? 8 only you have to tell. How many JSP implicit objects are there? 8 only you tell. If he knows about EL, if he talks about EL, then you tell there are 11. Page context also will be included. Page context also will be included. That time you have to tell 11. Clear? So that's it. So this is common now. This side also, that side also. Are you clear with the diagram? You got the point between Servlet and JSP now. Now it's all about what? Seeing output. Once you understand the concept, next only it's about output. So timing seeing this, the variables, the 2 variables which you can use in that curly brace are, one is a EL implicit object and the other one is an attribute. So first I'll be going with EL implicit object, then I'll be covering what? Attributes. We are going to the third part, remember that, variables we are going now. Okay, so first I'll be in variables, I'll be first covering EL implicit object, then I'll be going with attribute. So see, EL implicit objects are different from JSP implicit objects except page context. Page context available in EL and JSP is same, the reference is same, and it will be referring to what? The object of type page context. It is considered both and it will be referring to, that variable is referring to page context object, that's it. All the EL implicit objects are of type map, that is very important. EL objects are of type map, but page context is of type page context. Understood? Totally there are 19 implicit objects in JSP I have written, including what? Exception. Totally including exception I have written there. Okay, but you should be clear with this. Sometime 19, sometime 18, sometime we tell 8 in the interview. So you should know how to balance that. Okay, totally accurately if you see, if is error pay is true, there are 19 implicit objects. Yeah, fine. So 9 JSP implicit objects and 10 EL implicit objects. Among the 19, you see this. These are the implicit objects. Page context, page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope, param values, header values, cookie, and I need param, which I wrote it just now. So there is some information in the description. After I explain you with example, then I'll come back and explain you the description. Okay, if you want, you can write it down, not a problem. Okay, then next, this was the diagram I drew now. What values are coming in the HTTP request body will be transferred or collected by the container and stored into so many objects. So the red, the pink, what are this color you are saying? They are JSP objects, and this blue what you are saying are EL implicit objects. These are 8 and these are 10. Okay, so then fine. So this much is clear for you now. So if this much is clear, yeah. So in EL there are two access operators. What are the two access operators? One is dot and the other one is square bracket. I wrote now something dot something, something square bracket of something. So these are called as access operators. So if you want to access something, you use these two operators. Understood? So these two operators are there in EL language. Do not get confused with which one. Java, Giva and all that. This is totally different what you are learning. So this dot operator and square bracket are the operators given to you by expression language. So hold that for the time being. This much you write it down. Okay, don't bother about this information. I will tell you what is that. But right now to access you can use two operators. Which are there? Dot operator and square bracket. So to access values from those map objects, I'll use this. Clear? So fine. This much is ready now. Now we'll start off. Yeah, this one. Once again, I'll complete this also. See this. Param. Which are the implicit objects now? EL implicit objects. So param and param values. These both EL objects are used for getting what? Request parameters. Just now I concluded now. These two objects are used for getting request parameters. And these both EL objects, header and header values, are used for getting what? Request headers. Okay. So both these information, header also and header values. You can, these two objects, you can use it for getting, okay, from the header information. See the header information, you can get it like this also. I'll show you later with Java coding. Request dot get server port, you know, these are some methods. Request dot get servlet path, so many are there. You can get like this, these methods. So these are all nothing but header information only. But there is one more method which we use. Request dot for getting header information only. This also method is used for what? Getting header information only. Request dot get header. There is a method and you will pass some string argument like host. Return type of all this is string only. So some header information, just you understand, some header information get like this with these methods. All are string only, string yes, string yes. Okay, some header information you get it like this, but some header information will be getting it like this by using which method? Get header, and by passing some key, host, port number, something like that. We'll be sending accept language, accept encoding. Okay, request dot get header of accept hyphen. Remember, request dot get header of accept encoding. Same thing I'll write. Request dot. So it depends how you get the header information. Request dot get header of what? Accept encoding. Request dot get header of accept language. So many informations will be there you can get. But remember, these are the two possible ways you will be getting the values. One by calling directly these methods and the other by calling this method. So what values you get by calling request.get header? What information or what values you get by calling this method, which one? Request.get header. Those values are stored in which object? Header map object. Understood? Those values means any value you want to try to get using request.get header will be got using header object, map object, header dot host. Like that you can get the value. Clear? I'll show you that. Header dot host or something like that. Clear? So I'll be showing you, don't worry. So today don't concentrate on the operator, concentrate on the concepts. Okay, just concentrate on how you get the values. So fine. So I'll show you the which one? Solid doc, HTTP solid doc. This basic should be very, very clear. How strong you are in solid and JSP, that easy it's going to be further. Always remember that. I'll clear this. Get servlet path, servlet port. And see a HTTP servlet request You can go through the document, doc you refer, Java doc. You don't know how to refer to the Java doc. Google, you can go. You see the methods: get context, get cookies, get date header, get header. Get header, you have to pass an argument of type what? String. Returns the value of the specified header as a string. Apart from that, there are other methods. See, get method, whether the request is get method or post method. If you want to find out, you can use get method. Get part, get parts, get path info, okay, get query string, get URI, get request URI. So like this, you'll be getting the information using these methods also, plus what? Request.get headers. So what information you get with request.get headers, that can be got in headers map object. Headers also, header values also. Sorry, header or headers? What is that in header? You can get it with header implicit map EL object. So that's what I'm trying to say here. It's of type map object, and its header names to the string arrays corresponding to what? Sorry, this one, no? Header names to their values. So let request.get header. Okay, so we'll see that. So now we'll come back. So this is about all this. So yeah. And cookie, what is cookie now? This EL object is used for getting cookie values. These are the 5 objects you are used to work with. What? I'm covering 5 objects at a go, one shot. In the 10 implicit objects, 5 I'm going in one shot. Okay. So now all these above 5 implicit objects are designed to work with what? Only request values. When we send a request for a browser to a web, there are 3 main types of values which come with the request. What are they? Request parameters, request headers, cookies. If you want to get all this information and display it in the JSP, you can use the above 5 EL implicit objects. Clear? So whatever you get, they are coming. These are the 3 main values, and you can get it. So remember, in the HTTP request body, broadly classified, there are 3 types of values: cookies, param values, header values. Yeah. So complete information has been given to you. Only you need what? Output now. An example to prove all this concept. Nothing else. So let's see the example now straight away. Yes, I have got some examples here. I'll go with the second example. Which one? Param and param values. So in this example, I'll cover 2 objects. Param also I'll cover, param values also I'll cover. So see this. In the login.html, you know the HTML now. Fname, lname, 2 phones. Here, phone and phone. So this is how your HTML looks now. Are you clear? So when this is your HTML, I'll just remove this space so that you can see all the. Yeah, fname, lname, phone. This is your HTML now. You'll submit. So once you submit, it will go to which one now? It will go to with el.jsp. I got 2 JSPs here. One what? With scripting. One with JavaScripting. Another with EL. Compare both. You will only start understanding. So writing with Java will become very difficult as compared with EL now. See this. Scripting. This is how you write. And look, how are you getting the values? Request.get parameter of fname, lname. If you write request.get parameter of phone, you'll get only one phone. That too which one? The first one you'll get. Phone 1 is there now, only that you'll get. So if you want both, you should get what? Use which method? Parameter values. This also is there in the doc. Get parameter values. You refer it. So I'll say phone. So this will give me a single value, this will give me multiple values. So when will you use this method? When there is one parameter with multiple values. If there is one parameter with only one value, use get parameter. If one parameter is having multiple values, use get parameter values. So it will return you an array of string. So what beautiful. Solid technologies. Imagine all the values it will collect and put it into array. You just have to use it. What a technology it is. And it is applied to your application. Fine. That's okay, and you'll get the values like this. Yes or no? See how do you display it? Percentage equal to so and so. But this I'll get like this. Only one I'll get, remember. Other 2 I have to get like this. Simple now. So this is with scripting you do. Okay. But with EL, very simple. You know now. Param dot. I'll use the EL now. Dot operator to access the value. In param object, what I want? Fname. In param object, it's there in param object now. Param, Fname, Lname, phone. So even if I say param dot phone, in param object also I got data, but only one phone is there. That same value is there in what? Param values also. So you got these two objects. I'll just show the diagram to you now. Say carefully. Okay, I'll show you the output first, then I'll discuss. So see this now with EL. I'm going with EL. So let's deploy it now. Yes, we are deployed. First name I'm entering AAA, last name I'm entering B, primary phone 111, secondary phone is what? 222, and I submit. Yes, you can see this. You can look at the URL. The URL is what? withel.jsp. So it's going to the withel.jsp. All the values are getting displayed, and you can compare the display now. withel.jsp, param.fname, param.lname, param.ph. Okay, param.ph is printing what? Only one phone, first phone. I can get it from param object, but only one. If you want all, that time you have to depend on what? Param values. So what is the difference between param and param values now? EL implicit object. Both are EL implicit object, but what is the difference? Both contain parameter values. But this will contain only single value, this will contain multiple values. So if you want to work with multiple values, go with param values. If you want to work with the single value, go for what? Param. That's all the difference. But both are containing request parameter values. So yes, what has happened? So when the request has come to your JSP, look at this diagram now. You got Fname, Lname, PH stored here also, as well as they are stored here where? Param and param values. Parameter values are stored in the request object also, as well as they are stored in param and param values also. So here you got Fname, you got, as well as you got Lname, as well as you got only one phone, that is 0th index. Only one phone, that is the first one. Here you got what? Phone of 0, phone of 1, both you have got. Understood? So Fname is having what value? AAA. Lname is having what value? BBB. Phone of 0 is having what? 111. In param values you have got what? These values. Actually concept I explained. If you are not, it's not visible, can't help, just understand the concept now. So when the request comes, values are actually stored where? Here also. Fname is there in request object also. Lname also, as well as phone. It's stored here also, plus these two objects also. I'm talking about only request parameter values. Header values will be where? Again in request object plus header values will be there. Cookie also will be there. Okay. So these 5 objects contain whatever values are stored in the request object. That you don't forget. But we are right now working with only request parameter values. Done? Simple. So in scripting.jsp, I am working with this object. In scripting.jsp, there are two JSPs now. I am working with this object. In el.jsp, which I am working? Map objects. What's the difference? You can access it from anywhere. Clear? See here in scripting.jsp, I am using it from request object. I am getting the values from request object, which is an implicit JSP implicit object. Here I am working with el implicit. That's all. What is there? Correct, na? So fine. So this is what is EL now. So we got the grip onto what is EL. Okay. So something dot something has started off. And carefully understand here what I have done is, I have here you have got many JSPs. So you will not understand whether to make the request for HTML or scripting.jsp or with el.jsp. So that's why I've added one more extra file here called as readme.txt. So if you get confused which is the URL you have to type first time, you open readme.txt and type this URL. Reference. Because there are so many pages now. You will not know the request to be made to which page now. Supposing you make the request directly to easyl.jsp, correct, now you will not understand. So that's why after you deploy this project, if you are having doubt, open readme.txt Copy this path, paste it here or type it, no problem. So for all examples, refer to what? If you have doubt in which page to access, because you are having multiple pages, so refer to readme.txt, this file you refer. There you will be having it. Clear? So fine. So that's about the param and param values. Next I'll go with header values. Clear? Remember, you have to add the jar file for both jar files you have to add for all the projects. I've shown you how to code. Now I start showing you only concepts, output. Coding you know now. So you see this. I'll get the header info. So one way to get the header info I told you is this: request.getHeader of host, request.getHeader of accept language, like that you can get. Okay. But I'm just taking one thing now, request.getHeader. So I want header info now. The same value is stored in request object also, plus it is stored in which map object? Header map object. So this is with scripting. I can get it as what you know? $of header.host over. Host is one variable there. In which one? Host is something like key. Okay, actually if you go on to understand later on, you'll understand. This is the key what you are using. F name, L name, they are all what? Keys. In the previous example also, with el.jsp, this is a key, this is a key. I'll explain that very clearly in the next class. Okay, but they are keys. Here also host is what? A key. Header.host. Header is the map object. In that map object, which key value you want? Host. That's it. Name it, you'll get that value. That's it. Means, see, the host information is coming in the HTTP request now. Who is the host for the request? When the client makes a request, who is the host? Server will be the host now. So that is the value it will print. So let's see this. If you are deploy it. So in the second example, directly I'll be making a request to what? With el.jsp. Direct. That's why I told you, if you're getting confused, open what? readme.txt. Which JSP if you want to make the request, you can type it. Means with el.jsp. Run as yes, see, look, what is the value of host? See, this is the URL. It made a request. See, I'll show you now. I'll show you from outside, you'll understand very clearly. See, the client makes a request like this. So the host for this request is what? Localhost. Port number is 8090. That's the host. So that information it is displaying. Client only made the request now, so that host information it displays. Are you clear? Fine. But the same you can get it with what? Scripting.jsp. Now I am executing which one? Scripting.jsp. See here. I'll type. Or here only will type if you want. I'm working outside. Fine. But there I am writing Java code. Request.get header in bracket what I have told? Host. So an alternate to request.get header is what? Header. Okay. Similarly, like how you saw for phone. Okay, you got multiple values now. Some header informations will get multiple values. So that time you'll be using what? Header values. And there's no example for that. Just understand the concept. Clear? Okay. Then next we'll go with what? Cookie. Clear? So yes, again if you have doubt which page to execute first, login.html. Clear? So what you do in HTML, okay, let's deploy this, run on server. Okay, first I'll explain this concept, how the cookie is getting created and all that. First login.html, see this. F name, L name. When he makes the request, it is coming to servlet. It will be coming to servlet. What is the servlet doing? Collects these two values and puts it into what? Cookie, because we want to see the cookie output now. So F name and L name are collected, put into cookie, and it will give back the response. Again you are collecting some more values, asking the user to enter what? Company name and sal. So that will come to what? With el.jsp, and el.jsp will display. Let me explain it with flow diagram for you. Okay. See, scenario is this. First you'll ask the user to enter. This will be login.html now. See, when when the user makes the request for login.html, you get the page. So when he enters the first name and last name and submits it, these two values is going to its servlet now. This is servlet now, called as hello servlet. So what will the servlet do now? Collect input values, store in cookie, and give response. That's all it is doing, the servlet. So fine, that will happen, not a problem. But the important thing is, these two values are coming in the cookie as what? C1 and C2. The values are coming in the cookie now. Which one? Whatever the user entered, AA, BB are coming in the cookie object. And these values are residing in client machine this time. And you are asking him to enter company name and salary, something like this. So the name of this would be comp name, COMPNME. Okay, comp name or something, and this will be what? Sal. These are the two fields. Again you are submitting. The user submits. So this will come to JSP this time. That's what? With el.jsp. Yeah, requirement you understand. Collect all the values and display it back to user, whatever he has given to you. What values you have to display this time? I'm not doing this. One second. So in the request now, in the request object here, how many objects are going now? How many values are going? So it will display A, first name, B, then company name is cluster or something, and salary is 1,000 rupees or something. All the values will display back, whatever. So JSP has to display. Understood? So how it should display? See, when the user is sending now, how many values are coming now? This is the request body here. Request HTTP request body. One you got parameters. Which two parameters, sir? Comp name and sal. And you are having two cookies, C1 and C2. Plus you are having what? Header info. These many informations are coming to what? With el.jsp. I'll just write this HTTP request body. See here. This will be the HTTP request body. So what are the different values going now to the client? From the client to the server? Two cookies. What are they? Cookie 1, C1, and second would be C2. Two cookies. Then two parameter values. Yes or no? Which are the two parameters? Huh? Comp name and sal. Two parameters. One is comp name and the other one would be sal. Done? And third one, which one is that? Header info. We are not concentrating on headers here. We are concentrating on these two. So I can't draw it here. I need space. So that same diagram I put here now. So these many values are coming to JSP. So what you have to do now? Requirement is simple. Collect values from request and display, and collect values from means display the request value also, display the cookie value also. That's all. So what you should do? Display request parameter values and display what? Cookie values. But remember, without Java coding. Obviously I'll use EL. So now which object I'll show you? Cookie object I'll show you. Parallelly I have to show you what? Param object also. Parallelly I have to show you param object also. Is the concept clear now? Fine. So let's see the output. You got the concept? So let's see this. So this is the diagram now. So 3 files will be there: login.html, servlet, and one JSP file. See, code and all you will only understand concept. So always focus on concepts. Till your concepts are clear, getting output is also and coding is also very difficult. Clear? So every class I come, I will be teaching you only what? Concepts. For me, output doesn't matter only, because I believe you can get output if I cover the concept. Clear? Yeah, you know this now. This is the first page. We are going with the cookie example now. Fourth one, login.html. Fname, lname will enter, submits it. It will go to which one? Servlet. What is the servlet doing? As I told you, it will get the value, put it into the cookie, send it to, give back the response. So this is the response you will be getting. Comp name, sal, and all that. And again, if you click, it will come to which one now? With.jsp. So if you go to with.jsp, see this. Like this will display. So how do you display it? Param.compName, param.sal. But what is the cookie name? Cookie.fname, cookie.lname. But you have to write cookie.fname.value. Cookie.lname.value. That's all. If you write, you'll get it. Okay. So we'll see this output now. Login.html. Run as, see the output. Yes, we got this. I'll do one thing. I'll go from outside only. It will be more clear for you. Login.html. So he's entering what? First name. And he's entering what? Last name. AAB. He'll submit. So this request went to the servlet. Servlet collected the values. Put the values in cookie. Cookie is there now. If you want, you go and check. Cookie will be there. So this time when you enter cluster and salary, okay, how many values are actually going? 4. 2 as cookie, 2 as request parameter, and all those values are getting displayed from with el.jsp. See this. How? See the code. In fact, EL is very helpful. See, if I want to display only the first name of cookie, I'll tell like this: cookie.fname.value. Okay. If you want only first name, if you want only last name also, you can display like this. You don't want, means you want both, it is okay, you can do it like this. But if you want only one, write only one like this, over. Okay, it will display only one. But the same with scripting, see how it will be? The same output with scripting. If I want to display only F name now, okay, see this. You'll get the company name, you'll display. Okay, and if you want, you can get cookie also, see this. But you have to iterate and check if it is F name, print it and break. Your requirement is what? You have to print only F name. Understood? So if you want to see this output, you can see. But what you do? You go and change the value there. In servlet, you tell what? Just change it to scripting.jsp. You can see it. Give the proper name now. Scripting.jsp. Now it will be displaying from where? Scripting.jsp. Just change wherever the value you given now, you can change and see the output. Output will be same. Okay, but difference is whether you are using Java code or EL. Yes, now let's make the request. Close this browser. Open the browser. You can collect the URL now. Which one? readme.txt. See this? It will be helpful like this. When you open outside, you can type. See, enter first name. I'll give EE this time and GG. Fine. company name cluster, and current salary 1111. This is with scripting, without EL and using Java code. But the problem, if I want to print only first name, I have to iterate and all that and do. But here with EL, what is happening? See, this is with scripting. Like this, only F name if you want, you have to do like this. But with EL, no iteration, nothing. Because request.get cookies will always give you what? Array of cookies. That is the problem. You cannot get a single cookie. You have to iterate and all that. So this is how it works. Clear? So option is there in your hands. You can choose what you want while writing. Okay. So next we'll go to context init param. These are simple now. You got the grip now. Sometimes see this. You have got web.xml. For this you need web.xml because I'm showing you the next object. Okay. 1 second. We'll complete of this. Yeah. The table I'll explain now. See. Yeah, param. We have covered these 5 objects now. Start seeing now. What is param? It is a java.util.map object that links what? Parameter names to their servlet request.get parameter. So what work you do with request.get parameter can be done with param object. Similarly, it's a util that links parameter names to string arrays corresponding to servlet request.get parameter values. Means what work you do with get parameter values can be done with param values. Similarly, header and header values. It's names to their values, means what values you get by calling request.get header can be done with header. Similarly, what you do with request.get headers can be done with header values. But all are map objects. Notice that cookie. It's a java.util.map that maps a cookie name to a cookie object, like that. Clear? So now table you start understanding clearly. Yeah, now init param. Very simple. It is used to access context parameters in the JSP which are specified in web.xml. I'm going into the next EL implicit object, which is that init param. So what you configure in web.xml, okay, that can be accessed using init param. Okay, see this example, straight away example, country name, but I put it in which object? If you configure like this value will be stored in the servlet context object. Okay, means if any value is required for your entire application, you will configure it in context object. So this is the key, this is the value, country is the key, India is the value. So this value if you want to print, you can get it in JSP. How will you get? Application.get init parameter. Yes or no? This is not an attribute, this is a parameter. Okay, application.get init parameter. So it should be strong there. So see this is with scripting how you will get the value. Application is an implicit object. .get init parameter of country. Cool, you will get the output. But I want without Java coding. Simple now. That same value, one copy of that is kept where now? In init param object. Okay. So it is with EL, how will you do? Init param dot country over. See the difference, scripting. See the difference with EL. Simple output. Okay. So we'll see the output, it will display. So I'll go with here readme.txt. Directly, no HTML and all, directly make the request to with el.jsp. It displays, but with EL. Yes. Again, if you want to refer to the diagram, remember always keep referring to this. So what values you configured in web.xml, one copy of that is kept where? In application object also. Another copy of that is kept where? Init param also. From where you want to get? Diagram is very important. That's why concept. Yeah. So you got country here also. You got country here also. Value for country is India. Value for country is India. Simple. From where you get your wish. Yeah, that's all about which one? Init param. Yes, this is very important, most important. Till now what you learnt is okay. In fact, is very rarely you will be using those above 6 objects. Which objects? Whatever you learned now, param, values, header, you use, but very rarely. But now what you use most importantly starts off. So from here you have to pay attention. Clear? Yes. Page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope. So these are used to work with what you know? Attributes. So this becomes very important for us. Understood? So see, all these 4 EL implicit objects are designed to work with attributes set in any of the 4 objects, JSP implicit objects. You can set a value in page object also, request object also, session object also, or context object also. See, whenever an attribute is set into any one of the 4 objects, anything, any of the 4, request dot set attribute, session dot set attribute, wherever you set it in Servlet or JSP, that is irrespective now. Okay, one copy of that will be put into these objects. Which one? See, these are the JSP objects. See, a copy of that variable is placed into the corresponding EL implicit object. You put anything in page object, it will be put, one copy will be put into page scope. You say request dot set attribute, that copy will be put into request object also plus request scope also, like that. So I am telling session dot set attribute, that copy will be put in session object also, one copy will be put into session scope also. One more in application, if you put in application, it will be put there. So again, if you have to read, see the diagram, see here. I will tell session dot set attribute, one copy is here, one more copy is where? Session scope. I will tell context dot set attribute or application dot set attribute, one copy is here, another copy is here. So now get the difference now. Init param is used to work with what? Context parameters. Application, okay, then application scope is used to work with what? Context attributes. You should know this difference now. This is used to work with context attributes. Getting it? Similarly, request object is used to work with what? You can store attributes also, apart from the 3 values which are coming from the request. From the request you will get what? These 3. But in your code you can add attributes now. So attributes will be here. If you want to access the same attribute, you will be finding it where now? Request scope. But parameters will be where now? Request object will contain both. But parameters will be kept where? Here, in parameters. So you should know how it is scattered. Where are parameters? Where are attributes? So here you are having request parameters. But here you are having what? Request attributes. Same way, session. Yeah, attribute is here, but one copy will be put in session attribute here also. So like this. If you put anything in page attribute, where is page here? One copy will be put here also. So these are page attributes. So now clearly understand, whatever is ending with scope, page scope, request scope, session scope, application scope, there you clearly understand they are used to work with attributes. Very simple. They are used to work with attributes. Don't get confused. Understood? So it's the name of type map. So I'll show you some 2 examples. We'll conclude it and then we'll continue it in the EL in the next class. Are you clear this? So what is the difference between what is the thing about all these 4? They are used to contain attributes. That. So yes, now very interesting. So once you got that grip, okay, so the same thing I was telling you now. Yes. Yeah, see, when we write the attributes, names, okay, we'll come to this point later. Up till here clear now? Yeah, this let it remain. This is all we have to cover. Yeah, I'll go with the 6th example now to make you understand attributes. See, in the HTML, the user is giving 3 values. You know what 3 values? Fname, lname, phone. Same 3 values he'll give. These 3 values will come to Servlet. These 3 values will go to Servlet. Login. Okay, mapping will happen. How it will go? Webinf, web.xml, login, hello, it will go to hello Servlet. What is hello Servlet doing? Carefully understand. it will collect the values, and 3 values also it will collect, but it will put it into 3 different scopes. These are developer scope. Understood? See, f name I am putting in request object, l name I am putting in session object, phone I am putting in context object. Please understand this. Okay. So here you might have a question, why am I putting first name in request object, last name in session object? No logic, just I am trying to explain one concept. So like this, when you get values now, you will put values directly into this scopes. So once you put it into the scope, you will forward it to what? JSP. Now in the JSP I have to get the values. So you know, without EL, this is how you display. Without EL, see this request dot get attribute, session dot get attribute, application dot get attribute, and then you will do this. Yes or no? But look, with EL, how you do it. This is very interesting now. Request scope dot f name. That's more than sufficient. Or you can also say only f name. More simple. Or now I have started using the square bracket. Request scope of square bracket f name in double quotes I will give you. All 3 are correct. Whichever one you want to use. Either request scope dot f name or only f name or like this. All 3 are correct. Okay, I'll explain you what is the difference later, but these 3 are correct. Similarly, session scope dot l name, see only l name, or session scope in square bracket of l name. This is also correct. You'll get the output. Clear? So what is the concept? We'll see the output first. See login.html. So I'll enter name. This is hello solid is clear, no? Yeah. So it will go to with el.jsp, and this is the way we are getting the display. Yeah. So I'll just copy this. I'll go from outside. It will be more clear for you. Enter the first name. Ravi Kumar 111. It goes, request goes to Servlet. Servlet is putting it into 3 different scopes and then forwarding to JSP, and JSP is giving the display to you. 3 times I am printing it. One request scope dot f name, or only f name, or request scope in square bracket. So that's why it's printing 3 times. Ravi or Ravi or Ravi. Clear? Anyway, same Kumar or Kumar or Kumar, 111. So this is the output what you are seeing now. Clear? All 3 are correct. I have to only tell you the difference between what? This syntax, that syntax, and that syntax. But it is so easy. This syntax is very clear for you. There's no problem. Only those 2 new syntaxes you have to discuss. We'll come to that. Clear? So this is how you can do. So but clearly you have to understand this flow is very important for us. Because finally, okay, this is what you will be doing in projects. Clear? See, according to which one now? There is something called as MVC. Remember that. Okay, according to MVC, always remember, requests will never be accepted by JSPs. Requests will be always accepted by Servlet only. First understand that. So when the values come, you will be accepting the request in Servlet only. Servlet will interact with database or do whatever it is, leave it. But once you get all the values, the Servlet what it will do, those values it will send it to JSP for display. That is how it goes actually. So here it will interact with database, whatever that is secondary. Okay, but all the values will be now forwarded to JSP. Okay, so it will connect to database, fetch the value. So now see, when the Servlet is giving the value to the JSP, there are 2 options. One, it can put it into a TO and give. If it puts it into a TO and give, you can use what? Get property. Stand actions is there. If it is not put into a TO, now you cannot use get property. Like what I did now, request.set attribute, directly f name I put. Session.set attribute, directly I put l name. Okay, there are 2 options what the Servlet can do. One, it can put it into a TO and send the request to the JSP for display, or directly you can put the values in a scope, any scope it wants, and send it to the JSP. Now JSP has to display now without Java code. Both support has been given to you. If you put it into a TO, standard actions. If you don't put it into a TO, directly attributes EL. Both are correct, no? Use. So according to the scenario, you will start getting adjusted slowly. That is why this example is very crucial. Only I have not done this, which on database and all that. We will get the values, I put it into the any scope. In select, remember there are 3 scopes. One is request, session and context. I put it and now I send it to JSP. JSP is giving it. So here 2 options, with EL or without EL. Without EL means scripting. How? Request dot get attribute, session dot get attribute, or application dot get attribute. 3 things. Okay, if with EL, request scope dot, session scope dot, or application scope. Simple, over. That's the concept. So once your concepts are clear, output start getting very easy. That's why this example is easy and important also. Okay, there are setting the base for what is EL. So above 6 you might use, you might not use. Which one? Param values, header values, cookie, init param, that you leave. But these are very important because you are dealing with attributes. And attributes have to be displayed now. Remember that. Many times you will be displaying the attributes. Many times. Clear? So that is the concept. So what you set as, you set in TO and forward. That's the first scenario. Here you'll use what? Use standard actions. Which one? Get property. JSP colon get property. Whatever the bean, ID, name and all that you use. I've covered this. But second option is directly set values. You are getting it now? Set values in TO. One option is set values in TO, transfer object, and forward to JSP. This is the first scenario. So the time I will use standard actions and get property, I will display it. Directly set values as attributes is your second option. So in the second option I have to use what? Use EL implicit objects and display. Remember that. Clear? Simple. Are you clear this? Should I clear? That's the concept now. So once you understand the concept, now it's about the syntax. What is the difference between, or which one is the best, whatever you might have. There's hardly any difference between dot and double quotes in this example, but there is some difference. In this example there is hardly any difference. So if you want, you can get the difference between what? Get the output as dot operator, fname, or you can say in square bracket double quotes. This is okay, but how does this work now? This is very important. If you don't use anything, this is actually a variable only, no? So you can use variables. The variables what you can use in the curly braces can be only of 2 things. One what? JSP implicit object. 2, it can be a attribute. I told you very clearly, I had mentioned in the document. Remember that now. In the variables can be any of the 2 things. One is an EL implicit object you can use, or you can use a attribute. Now I'm going with attribute. You can use attributes directly also. Okay, so if you use it, okay, that time what happens is, where were we? Here now, yeah. So when you use this, but how does it work? It will not see, if you say request scope dot fname, it will check only in that object. Okay, but if you write only fname, first it will check in page scope. From the least it will go to the highest. If not found in page scope, next it will search in request scope. If not found, fname is not found in request scope, then it will search for fname in session scope. Again, if fname is not found in session scope, it will search in application scope. Like that, it will search in all the scopes. If you write only attribute names like this, that's how it works. You should learn it. If you use it like this, only specifically one scope it will check. But if you use it like this, all scope. If it doesn't find, it will not display anything. That's it. Okay. So fname, you understand now, here specific, here all the scopes. Similarly here also. See, how does it work here? Fname. First, where it will check? Page scope, not found. It will display from which one now? Request scope. It is found in request scope now, it will display from there. Now L name, where is it actually? Session object. But first it is searched where? Page scope. Then it is searched in request scope, not found. And then it will go to session scope. There it finds, it will display. Now next is phone, PH. First where it will search? Page scope, not found. Then it will go to request scope, not found. Then it will go to session scope, not found. Then it will go to application, there it will find and display. So that's how it works. So here it will search in all scopes, there it will search only in particular scope. This and the same activity. Clear? So that's how it works. Now when to use which one? Okay. See, if there are no conflicts with attribute names, sometimes you'll have attributes, means same attribute name, but different value. Attribute name will be same. Okay. And there will be different scope. I'll give the next example is that only. There's only one attribute name I'll use. Like something like name. The name of the attribute is what? Name. But it will have different values and it is there in different scope now. Name attribute will be there in page scope also. Name attribute will be there in request scope, session scope or application scope. In all the 4 scopes I put it, or 3 scopes. So now when you print name now, it will print only from the first one, whichever is available, page or request, or if it is available, wherever it will execute it. So I'll show you the next example, you will get the clear example for it. Clear? So that's how it works. Are you clear this? So the next example is for what? Understanding how the values are searched. That's it. So that's the last example we'll cover. See the same example, no change. We are getting the values, which one? F name, L name and phone, no change. And those values, I will put it into which one? It will go to the servlet. It will go to the servlet. In the servlet, what did I do? I am putting into 3 different scopes. Which 3 different scopes? Request, session, context. I am putting the value. 3 values are also there, but with the same attribute name. It will not overwrite because they are in different scopes now. So in request object there is an attribute by name, name. In session object there is an attribute by name, name. Okay, and so context objects also there is an attribute by name, name. But what is the value of name attribute in request object? Whatever I enter, A. What will be the value of name attribute in session object? B or whatever I enter. And what is the value of the name attribute in context object? Phone. So values are different, but name is same. Okay, now if it is forwarded to JSP, now interesting. It will display always what? Name if you tell. Only F name it will display. Because first it will check in page scope, not available. Name is not available in page scope. See this output. It will go to vtl.jsp. If I say only name, finished, only one will print now. But if you want to print the other 2, that time I will go with the name. You have to go like this. So only when there are conflicts use this. If there are no conflicts, directly go with your attribute name. Clear? If there are conflicts, use like this. Be specific. Okay. If there is conflict in the attributes in different scopes, go like this. If no conflict, go like this blindly. So this one will print what? Definitely first name value it will print. Understood? Second name and means last name and all you have to print like this one. Fine. So that's all, same output. Let's see this output now. I'll close, open the browser. First name QQQ, last name www, phone 333. F name check, it's printing only Q. Yes or no? Because sorry, only if I use name. If I use only name, what it will print? From the request scope. First, but it was before to request, it was checking in page scope. It didn't find. If it was in page scope, preference would have given to that. Since it didn't find it in page scope, next preference is given to request scope. You remove it from there. Now it will print from here. Session. Just disable this and check. Comment it. Okay, automatically it will not find it in request. So preference will be given to session. You try it out. Or I'll just show you. It's deployed now. Now see. I'll make another request. We are entered QQQ now and WWW. Correct now? So this time it will print what? WWW. F name. It searched in page scope, not found. Didn't find it in request scope, not found. Then it will go to session scope. So that's how it works. Okay, see. When we write the attribute names directly without qualifying the scope, now I have given the explanation for that. Then the attribute will be verified in all the scopes in the following order if you don't give the name of the scope. Understood? But if you have a same attribute called name in all the EL implicit objects, then preference will be given in the same above mentioned order and it will print for the first available EL implicit object. Okay, when we are qualifying the attribute names with the corresponding scope, then container checks the attribute directly in the specified scope. Like session scope dot fname is, see in this fname attribute will be verified in session scope only. If fname is not found, nothing will be displayed. That's it. Okay, are you clear? So, so this is how it works. And for this, again, if I have to refer to this diagram, I told what? Request dot set attribute. Yes? Request dot set attribute fname is kept here. Understood? One copy is kept where? Here also. Don't get confused now. Don't look for fname in param. Understood? Fname you have to search in request scope because it's an attribute. Understood? Okay. Then I put what? Lname into session. Here. Lname is here. But that same means fname is whatever you entered, A or whatever. It is here. Lname is B. Okay. Now where is the same value? In session scope. It's an attribute now. So lname is here. So you will say set attribute in Servlet. But automatically one copy has been put into what? This object. Lname is equal to BB. Same with context dot. PH is equal to 111. It will be where now? Not in init param. Init param contains parameter. So it will be here now. Phone will be 111. PH or whatever. Clear? So again, flow should be very clear. See, when the request goes from servlet to JSP, be clear. So first the request was accepted by whom now? Servlet. In servlet there are only 6 objects. Remember, this flow you be very clear. In servlet there are how many objects? Only 6. That I forwarded to which one? With el.jsp. In this JSP there are 18 objects. Understood? So now when this JSP gets converted and when all the objects are getting created, which one? The 18 objects, JSP objects, here there are only 6. Which one? Select, request, response, config, context, whatever, only 6 will be there. Once it is forwarded to JSP, here there will be 18. So when these 18 objects are getting created, container only will collect all the values from the corresponding places and stores it automatically. Okay. And we start accessing it now. They are implicitly available. They are stored now. Who is doing all that storing? Container. It will put it in request scope. It will put it in session scope. Understood? When the JSP is getting converted to .java, all that will happen. Only you have to access it. How? With the implicit object. Request scope dot, session scope dot, only you have to access. Only then you will get the value because container has put it into those objects. Yeah? So that is the difference, and here you got 18 objects. 8 will be JSP, 10 will be EL, or I'll put it like this finally. 7 JSP, 9 EL, 1 common for both. Which one? Page context. However you understand, concept you understand. So 7 plus 9 is how much? Sorry, 10 no? 10 EL, 7 JSP, and 1 is page context. It is common. So this flow you remember, that's it. Yeah? So based on this, you'll start writing the code now. Yeah, so I completed all these examples now. Practice this. So I think document also I completed now. Okay, that's it.